Welcome to Quizpire Studio. Get ready for part 1 of our ultimate rock trivia challenge, rock's greatest firsts and lasts. We'll test your knowledge on some of the most iconic moments in rock history. From groundbreaking songs to legendary performances, do you have what it takes to be a rock and roll master? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your score in the comments below. Let's dive into the world of rock and see if you can keep up. What was the first rock song played in space? Delicate Sound of Thunder by Pink Floyd was played on the Soviet spacecraft Soyuz TM-7 in 1989. Johnny B. Good by Chuck Berry was included on the Voyager Golden Record in 1977, but not played in space. Al Wardens carried cassettes with recordings from various rock artists on Apollo 15 nearly 2 decades earlier. Which rock band was the first to perform at the White House? The Beach Boys performed at the White House in 1983. While other bands performed for private events, the Beach Boys were the first to perform at a public event hosted by the president. What was the last rock song played on MTV? You Better You Bet by The Who was one of the last regularly aired rock songs on MTV. Video Killed the Radio Star was both the first and was aired again on retrospectives. Who was the first rock musician to be knighted by the British monarchy? Cliff Richard was knighted in 1995, making him the first rock musician to receive this honor. Paul McCartney, 1997, and Mick Jagger, 2003, were knighted later. What was the first rock single to sell 1 million copies? Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley and His Comets in 1955 was the first rock single to sell over 1 million copies. Which was the first rock song to win the Grammy for Song of the Year? Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel, considered a folk rock ballad rather than a straight-up rock song, won Grammy Song of the Year in 1971. Mrs. Robinson won Record of the Year in 1969. Which was the first rock song to win an Oscar for Best Original Song? Things Have Changed by Bob Dylan, 2000, was the first rock song to win an Oscar for Best Original Song. Streets of Philadelphia, 1994, was also nominated, but it is often classified under soft rock or pop rock. Which was the first rock song to be downloaded 1 million times on Spotify? Don't Stop Believin' by Journey was the first rock song to reach 1 million downloads on Spotify. This milestone reflects the song's enduring popularity and the rise of streaming platforms. Which was the first rock song featured in a movie soundtrack? Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley and His Comets was featured in the 1955 film Blackboard Jungle. This was one of the earliest uses of rock and roll in a film, predating Johnny B. Good and Back to the Future. What was the first rock band inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? The Beatles were the first rock band inducted in 1988. The Everly Brothers were inducted the same year but are considered more as a duo rather than a band. Which is the longest charting song in the history of the Billboard Hot 100? Glass Animals' Heat Waves is the longest charting song in the history of the Billboard Hot 100, spending 91 weeks. Radioactive by Imagine Dragons charted for 87 weeks. Who was the first female rock artist to win the Grammy for Album of the Year? Alanis Morissette won Album of the Year for Jagged Little Pill in 1996, making her the first female rock artist to achieve this. Carole King won earlier, but she is generally considered more of a pop artist. What was the first rock double album released? Blonde on Blonde by Bob Dylan, released in 1966, is often considered one of the first double albums in popular music by a major artist. It was released just 1 week before the Mothers of Invention's Freak Out. What was the first major rock festival? Monterey Pop Festival in 1967 is considered the first major rock music festival. The Newport Folk Festival preceded it, but it focused on folk, not rock music. Which rock song first used the Moog synthesizer? Strange Days by The Doors. The Doors' 1967 song Strange Days is considered the first major rock and roll recording to feature a Moog synthesizer. The Moog's use in the song subtly exposed the public to the possibilities of analog synthesis. Lucky Man by Emerson, Lake and Palmer, 1970, prominently featured the Moog synthesizer. Which rock artist had the longest-running #1 album on the Billboard 200? The Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band held the #1 spot for 15 consecutive weeks. The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd stayed on the chart longer overall, but not consecutively at #1. What was the first rock song performed live on television? Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley and His Comets was performed live on the TV show American Bandstand in 1955, one of the earliest televised live performances of a rock song. Who was the first female rock artist to have a diamond-certified album? Alanis Morissette's Jag Little Pill, 1995, became the first album by a female rock artist to be certified diamond by the RIA, marking 10 million copies sold in the US. Which rock band was the first to sell out Madison Square Garden? Rolling Stones were the first rock band to sell out Madison Square Garden in 1969. The Beatles did perform earlier, but did not have a full sellout at that venue. Who was the first rock artist to headline the Super Bowl halftime show? U2 was the first major rock band to headline the Super Bowl halftime show in 2002, post 9/11, marking a significant shift towards featuring contemporary rock artists at this event. Which rock album was the first to be released as a double CD? Blonde on Blonde by Bob Dylan is historically recognized as the first rock double album in 1966, and when CDs were introduced, it was among the earliest double albums released in that format. Physical Graffiti was a popular double album from the 1970s, but was not the first. What was the first rock album to win a Grammy for Album of the Year? Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band by the Beatles won the Grammy for Album of the Year in 1968, making it the first rock album to achieve this honor. Rumors and The Wall won in later years. Which rock artist was the first to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame? Elvis Presley was the first rock artist to receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 1960. The Beatles received their star in 1998. Who was the first rock musician to win a Nobel Prize for Literature? Bob Dylan won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2016 for his poetic songwriting. Which was the first rock band to headline at Carnegie Hall? The Byrds were the first rock band to headline at Carnegie Hall in 1965. Bill Haley and His Comets were the first rock and roll band to perform at Carnegie Hall, playing a variety benefit concert on May 6, 1955, but they did not headline. Who was the first rock artist to perform on The Ed Sullivan Show? Elvis Presley performed on The Ed Sullivan Show in 1956, making him the first rock artist featured. Bill Haley and His Comets performed their hit, Rock Around the Clock, in early August 1955, later recognized as the first rock and roll song broadcast on a national television program. What was the first rock album to be certified gold by the RIA? Meet the Beatles by the Beatles was certified gold by the RIA in 1964, marking the first rock album to achieve this status. Elvis's Golden Records was certified gold as well, but after the Beatles. What was the first rock song to feature a sitar? Norwegian Wood by the Beatles, 1965. By the Beatles was the first rock song to feature a sitar, played by George Harrison. Paint It Black, 1966, by the Rolling Stones also used a sitar but came after. Which rock band was the first to use a laser light show during a concert? Both Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin are credited with pioneering the use of laser light shows in rock concerts. Pink Floyd began using lasers during their Dark Side of the Moon tour in 1973 and made extensive use of them to create innovative visual effects. On the other hand, Led Zeppelin is also known to have experimented with laser shows around 1975, using a single red laser beam in their concerts. Who was the first rock artist to appear on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine? John Lennon appeared on the first cover of Rolling Stone magazine in 1967. Bob Dylan and Jimi Hendrix were featured later. How did you do? Share your score in the comments below. If you enjoyed this quiz, please like the video, share it with your friends, and make sure to subscribe for more exciting quizzes. Hit that notification bell so you won't miss part 2 of Rock's greatest firsts and lasts and other fun challenges coming your way. Thanks for watching and keep rocking.